Remember back in January when this whole thing started with Robinhood and the other brokerage firms in North America, in US, pretty much removing the buy button, okay, from their app. And actually, people who were willing to buy MC when it was, climbing on the first short squeeze couldn't really do that anymore because there were no buy button. Only the sell button option was available. And that's what created pretty much the beginning of the fallout and this whole situation. Now, things seems like we do have something that resurfaced from that event where on a recorded call, Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, is actually being interviewed by Elon Musk and kind of admitting that he made a deal with the NSCC to remove that buy button because they would have gained a significant advantage on that. So let me share with you what is actually going on here and we can actually see what is true and what is not. So as you can see, this is from user You Around My City on Reddit. Shout out for him for posting this. And Vlad Tenev recorded on call confirming he made a deal with NSCC in advance to restrict trading in January in exchange for Robinhood lowering its margin from 3 billion to 1.4 and then to 700 million. Elon Musk was on that call as well. So keep in mind that at this point, AMC is going from $2, and at this point, I think we are around maybe the 11 or 15, and it's on its road to 20 and even 25 intraday. But the more people buying AMC stock means more requirements from the NSCC for Robinhood, and it doesn't seem like they had that money in place in order to match those requirements, and it will make sense that at a point they will have to have a significant, that amount lowered significantly. Okay, now let's listen to that call and see exactly what is happening here. So here we go.
Call up the higher ups at the NSCC and kind of figure out what's going on. Maybe there's some way we can work with them. And basically there was another call and they lowered it to something like $1.4 billion from 3. So okay, we were making some progress, right? And then, but it's still a high number. And then we basically proposed, well, let's explain how we plan to, let's explain how, we'll manage risk in these symbols throughout the day. We proposed marking these volatile stocks that were kind of driving the activity, position closing only. And then at about an hour before market open, so 5:30 or 5 in the morning, they came back and they said, okay, the charge is, or the deposit's 700 million, which we then deposited and paid promptly, and then everything was fine. So that essentially explains why we had to mark these symbols position closing only.
All right, folks, there you have it. He's clearly saying that the NSCC worked with them in order to lower those requirements in terms of margin from 3 billion to 1.4 billion and then ultimately to 700 million, which they paid. But the thing is, it still doesn't make things right. It still doesn't make exactly, the whole thing being, if you know what is payment of order flow is all about, and Citadel working directly with Robinhood and doing so, and a lot in other brokerages as well, so it's still pulling the rug underneath the feet of those retail investors, majorly or every other investor willing to buy the stock. Because why can't you just let what the markets are supposed to be? Why don't you let the stock being bought more? It doesn't matter. You can still, get some more cash from whoever is working with you. But the fact that Citadel was also majorly getting those orders from you guys and paying you on top of it, it's a huge conflict of interest. Now, I want to get into the bigger picture of this thing, guys, because what we just listened is just an extract. And this is actually the whole interview and conversation between these guys, Elon Musk and Vlad from Robinhood. But it's a 20 minutes video, and when you take it, when you listen to this, you will see that this other interview of what this user or this guy might potentially be claiming may be taken out of context, because he's kind of explaining what is also transcribed here. And you can see the title of this document being, hearing from the United States House of Representatives Committee of Financial Services. That was back in February of this year. Testimony of Vlad Tenev Robinhood Markets Inc. And if you go to page 9, you can also read pretty much what he was saying word for word. So this whole transcript is what actually happened when he was testifying. And as much as I don't want to be like saying that it's not true, I'm just saying this information might not be taken in the proper context, and because of that, we might be only looking at this with some lenses which are not the actual reality behind this. So, but nevertheless, guys, it's still a huge discovery on what actually happened. But again, it doesn't make things right. But it doesn't matter anymore. You know what? Because back then we didn't even know what was happening. We didn't even know what was behind this whole situation. And 8 months fast forward, we have all the clues and all the info we need to actually make a proper decision to keep invested into AMC. And that's personally my personal opinion. All right. So what can I say?